Mr. Rajeshwar Rao, Chris Cartwright, Mr. Anant Raman, former chairman of TransUnion CIBIL, my friend M.V. Nair, Bhavesh Jain, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to be here today at this landmark TransUnion CIBIL Annual Conference. Much of what has to be said on the journey of TransUnion CIBIL has been well articulated by the previous speakers. I'm a long since retired professional, so I'm still wondering why TransUnion CIBIL gave me the topic of pathway to the future. So before I start my talk, let me caveat it by saying that I am a professional of the past, an observer of the present, but an eternal optimist of the future of India. One of the most exciting times across my long professional life were endeavors spent in institution building. I use the word endeavors carefully because over many years there were some endeavors that went on to become big institutions. But in equal measure, there were ideas and attempts that neither got off the ground or some that were too early for their time and were not customized sufficiently to meet the needs of the Indian markets at that time. Some other institutions that I was involved with at inception went on to change their pathways to align with the changing financial landscape. Looking back, perhaps, I had the good fortune of being part of some institutions which were pioneers in their field. This head start allowed us the luxury of time to learn or follow the mantra of learning by doing. 25 years ago, CIBIL too was an institution that had to learn by doing. In hindsight, for a country of our size, we were certainly the latecomers to the credit bureau party. Bangladesh, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, our neighbors, had established credit bureaus before us. And globally, believe it or not, credit bureaus have been around for 200 years. Be that as it may, the origins of CIBIL may be summed up by borrowing Victor Hugo's words that no force on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. When we did launch, we were very lucky to have the right forces, the right people at the right time that helped establish CIBIL. Credit must be given to the Reserve Bank of India, who laid the concept through the Siddiqui Committee, NH Siddiqui Committee. At inception, it was a mutually reinforcing partnership between SBI and HDFC Ltd, TransUnion and Dun & Bradstreet, where each brought in different strengths. SBI for its size and ability to bring on board other banks, HDFC for its retail credit capabilities, TransUnion, who understood the credit bureau business, and Dun & Bradstreet, another technical partner for credit information. At the helm, both SBI and HDFC brought in amongst their best talent. So it is befitting to acknowledge the first executive chairman and the contributions of the first executive chairman, Mr. S.R. Iyer, and Satish Mehta, the founding managing director of CIBIL. From there onwards, CIBIL has grown from strength to strength. With CIBIL for both SBI and HDFC Limited was not an investment with the return on equity in mind, but it was more about building an institution in India for public good. The regulators wanted us to democratize the shareholding in the credit bureau in early days itself with other lenders. In those days, the regulatory framework for credit bureaus was still evolving. To my mind, the opportunity to set up credit bureau was more than offering a credit tool for lenders. It was a pioneering effort to prevent too much indebtedness on part of a borrower. And we understood that the credit bureau would serve as a barometer of credit health at a systemic level. It was almost akin to fulfilling a moral responsibility owed to the Indian financial system. The first decade of CIBIL came with its fair share of challenges. A lot of effort was spent liaising between RBI, the Finance Ministry, and the Law Ministry to get the SICRA Act in place, Credit Information Companies Regulation Act, 2005. A lot of time and effort went in explaining the role of credit bureau and educating lenders on the difference between a credit score and credit rating. It was also the initial stage of moving from manual to digital records. There were many trying experiences, particularly in cleaning up historic data and deduping, given that the unique identification at that time was still unstructured. Sanctity of data, as our Deputy Governor said, remains a joint responsibility of lenders, borrowers, and bureaus. One of the mindset changes needed by individuals today is to get into the practice of checking one's credit score at least once a year. It is like doing an annual health checkup, except doing it once a year is free of cost. These are good preventive measures and practices to follow. It is true when they say that a credit score is a mirror of one's behavior. Doing a regular credit score check is like checking one's blood pressure or cholesterol levels. The systems may not always be visible. This is a practice that needs to be inculcated, particularly among the younger generation who are beginning to build up their credit histories and are likely to be much more leveraged than the past. One needs to position the role of a credit bureau as one that protects the customer, that works for the customer, and can prevent a customer from getting into financial difficulties. The credit score is the medical report, and based on the report, one needs diagnosis and treatment if required. I do believe that credit counselors will play a more meaningful role in India going forward.